Each year, admissions officers try their best to build out a well-rounded class of passionate, hardworking, interesting students. And the personal essay is an opportunity for those admissions officers to learn more about you. Your essay is an opportunity to capture your motivations, your passions, fears, and challenges that may not show up elsewhere in your application. I want to see how you can go from a broad personal essay prompt and produce a thoughtful, coherent essay that shares the lessons you've learned throughout your lifetime. Now, because the personal essay is such a unique essay, most students don't write these type of essays in an academic setting. Some students are even taught in school to never write in the first person, using phrases like I or my, believe. So it's no surprise students struggle talking openly about their experiences, their hopes, their dreams. Now, because this essay is so important and so unique, many of my students come to me overwhelmed and they've fallen victim to some of the myths concerning the personal essay. Many of my students come to me defeated at the brainstorming stage before they've even started writing out their draft because they feel their life hasn't been impressive. They look at their activities list, they look at their resume, and they feel like they don't have anything interesting to talk about. The admissions officers aren't looking for individuals who've had impressive experiences. Going to the moon, hiking Mount Everest is not going to make a difference if you haven't thought deeply about that experience and you can't clearly communicate those lessons in writing. You can take the most mundane, most boring topic, the most boring experience, but if you thought about it deeply enough, and you've structured your essay in a way that responds to the prompt fully, you can actually engage the admissions officers in a way that's true and authentic to you. So don't worry about trying to make up or embellish your past in order to sound more impressive. Admissions officers want to get to know the real you, no matter how boring you think that may be. A second myth many students believe is that their essay has to be traumatic. They have to share some deep, sad trauma from their background. And some students, they feel insecure, surprisingly, that they've had a good life. And they'll say, I don't really have anything sad to talk about. These essays do not have to describe traumatic events. So it's okay if you've had a really good life. And in the event that you have experienced some trauma in the past, you do not have to use that as a topic for your personal essay. I always encourage students to pick a topic they'd be comfortable talking about in depth at length. You need to be able to share details, and it has to be enough to talk about in a full essay. I also encourage students to pick a topic they'd be comfortable talking about in person, not just on paper. You'll want to share your essay with me, maybe your guidance counselor, and of course the admissions officers will see it. You want to make sure you're not just comfortable writing about it, but talking about it as well, because sometimes alumni interviewers, scholarship interviewers will ask you follow-up questions about the topics of your essay. So if you wouldn't be comfortable talking about it in that setting, I'd keep it private. Students often think their essay has to be sophisticated. Now, admissions officers expect you to respond to the prompt, so the essay is complete. They expect you to use proper grammar and syntax. They expect you to proofread for spelling errors. Those are the bare minimum. You have to do it. They expect you to be a little creative. They want to tell that you've thought about it for more than an hour or two, but they aren't expecting Pulitzer Prize winning writing. Okay. The personal essay is not an arts supplement. So you don't have to take this opportunity to try and use as many writing styles, as many writing strategies as possible. I've had some students, when they work on their essay, they try to experiment with writing structures and styles they've not used before. I wouldn't recommend you experiment or embellish on this essay. You want to use a writing style and a writing voice that is comfortable for you, so you can clearly share your story. Another myth that students fall victim to is they think their essay has to sound like their friends or sound like the essay of someone who got into their dream school. Now, many students, as they start applying for college, the first thing they Google is how to get into Duke or how to get into Harvard. And they may watch YouTube videos or read blogs by people who got into those schools and try to emulate their activities list or try to emulate their voice. You don't want to do that. It's important that you're confident as you're writing. So use a voice that's natural to you. I would recommend you avoid searching for examples of personal essays. And if you've already started researching examples of personal essays, I'd recommend you stop. Looking at examples of personal essays usually makes the student feel less confident in their topic. It makes them feel less confident in their voice, and they'll try to emulate the structure of someone who's already gotten into that school. The best way to see if your essay works is to have a trusted counselor or teacher look at your essay for grammar mistakes, spelling mistakes, and make sure you completely responded to the prompt. And then finally, many students feel like their essay has to tell their entire life story. You're going to share at most 1 or 2 memorable moments from your life, not your entire life. Students often, they like to use the personal essay as another opportunity to list off achievements and accomplishments. I wouldn't recommend you do that. You'll have your activities list where you can list off those achievements and accomplishments briefly. In your personal essay, if you're going to list an achievement or accomplishment, you've got to have a very detailed so what. You've got to be sharing that experience for an important reason. This isn't an opportunity to just list off your accolades. All right, so we've talked about why admissions officers want an essay. We've talked about the myths. For the next steps, I'd encourage you to log into your Common application and read all the personal essay prompts. Read them all. And just write down any experiences, memories, or questions that come to mind. Students, because they're so nervous about the personal essay, they like to pick a prompt and jump straight into writing. I recommend students actually do quite a bit of brainstorming, outlining, and drafting before they commit to a single prompt, because you'll find you just may have more experiences and you may be more passionate about a particular prompt. So give yourself some time to decide which of the prompts really resonates with you.